Lay it on the line, talk through our problems. Let's try resolving them. Should we even try? Meet me halfway, and I'll give you time.
Hey guys, welcome back to Lay It on the Line. It's your girl Jamila, and today I have a special guest. I have Miss Brandi.
Hi.
Hey Miss Brandi, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. So today with Miss Brandi, what we're going to talk about is stepping into womanhood. But before we get into stepping into womanhood, Miss Brandi, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from, what you do, what you like, anything you would like us to know.
So, my name is Brandi. I'm from Houston. I'm somebody's mama twice. So, somebody calls me mom. And I'm a hairstylist. I've been doing natural hair since I was about 15. And I made 40 this year. So,
Okay.
I'm doing.
Girl, you looking good.
You know, a little cocoa butter, you know, a little water every now and again, you know.
Okay. Over there smelling like shea butter.
But that's pretty much about it. I have a natural hair care salon off of 59 in Hillcroft, and I mainly focus on locks, but I've been
Gonna give them your booking information. How can they find Miss Brandi?
So you can find me on Booksy or on Facebook or on Instagram.
What's your Facebook name?
My Facebook name is Big B. That's my business page. My other page is Brandi J. Brandi with an I on the end. What's my last name?
Joseph.
Brandi Joseph, and my Instagram is hey.missjoseph. Ain't that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So.
All right. So if you guys are looking for a loctician in the Hillcroft, South Houston area, look up Big Brandi. She doesn't just do locks. She does natural hair. She does braids. She does the faux locks. I don't know if you guys remember when I had those beautiful faux locks. Mm-hmm. This is the person who made me look as luxurious as I did.
Luxurious.
All right. So what do you do for fun?
Oh, I like to learn. I pretty much like to do anything that's like physical. So we can go run, we can go work out, we can climb trees, we can do yoga.
Okay.
We can get out here and get dirty. Or we can be pretty and pristine and very classy as well. I just like it all, but I really like to learn. I spend most of my time listening to books and stuff like that to try to make my everyday a little bit better.
That sounds good. Do you listen to my podcast?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I was going to say, girl.
I'm a faithful listener.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So let's just get into our topic today, stepping into womanhood. If you could think back to your most earliest, youngest memory, how far back can you think about being a little girl, and what do you remember?
Oh, I remember knowing how to walk in heels before I really knew how to walk in tennis shoes.
So did you used to walk around in your mama's shoes and, imitate her?
Kind of, sort of, or just anybody's shoes as long as it had a heel on it. Mm-hmm. We had our little feet in it, so we was clacking around the house with the little shoes. But I remember being groomed to be very, very put together. Mm-hmm. So you don't eat like you live in a barn. You don't, it's certain do's and don'ts and whatnot. And we learned.
Who was doing that grooming?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother. Okay, so y'all might have like an etiquette class. She tell you, okay, when you sit down, don't put your elbows on the table.
Yes, it was her.
So did your grandma used to cook dinner cook 3 meals a day?
She didn't cook 3 meals a day, mm-hmm. but it was almost like 3 meals a day. Mm-hmm. So she was at home, so she didn't work by the time we came up. So she took us to school. When we came home from school, we had something to snack on. When it was time for dinner, we had dinner. It was always structure mm-hmm. around that, and we always thought that everybody grew up like that, but they didn't. Mm. Once we moved out and we moved to a different area, then you kind of sort of see mm-hmm. how everybody's home life and upbringing is a little bit different. Like some people don't sit at the table.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that that's something that's going on now, or your friends when you was a kid, they didn't sit at the table neither? Because I think that when I was little, it was more common for families to be together and sit at the table and eat dinner at dinner time. It wasn't no sitting in front of the TV eating your food. You had to sit at the table and eat dinner.
Right. Most of everybody that came up with me, their grandparents was the same way. So they gathered to eat. I think it's more or less when you get to once we got to the projects and we start seeing how certain people are living. You got people that sit outside and eat. You know, it's nothing wrong with that, but it was just different for us. So, you know, like some people didn't have a table in their house. I did not understand that. So I thought everybody had a table in their house.
I thought everybody had a table in their house.
Some people don't have a table in their house.
You know, I was talking to my cousins last week, and it's funny that we having this conversation right now. I was telling them I actually didn't know that I was poor growing up. I didn't realize that we was poor until we got to high school. And my mama was shocked. She was like, how y'all didn't know we was poor? I just didn't. You know, like my mom, she cooked 3 meals a day and she used to cook our snacks. And when I say snacks, we used to have fried bologna sandwiches with grilled cheese and toasted bread. And we sat at the table. My mama would cook a full course meal and she would set the whole table with food. And we would have to sit at the table and eat the food, you know. And we ate breakfast. She would cook breakfast. We didn't eat cereal because my mama didn't eat cereal. It wasn't until she sent me to my auntie house and her kids was eating cereal. So we ate what they ate. And my mom was like, my kids don't eat cereal. Actually, we do eat cereal.
You just don't eat
Yeah.
it.
So when she found out that we ate cereal, I guess she was like, oh, I ain't got to cook this breakfast. I don't have to cook this breakfast no more.
Nothing else.
You know, but my mom was she was a different kind of mom than a lot of moms. She was very old school, very traditional. And I appreciate those things about her. And I kind of took those things from her. But my mom was very jazzy. And back then they would call them brick houses. Now they call them bad bitches.
Yeah.
You know, my mama was one of those. You was to this day, you still would never see my mama with her hair out of place. She's never gonna be outside with a bonnet on.
Yeah.
She used to always wear her pants tight. She was a little hoochie mama, but a classy hoochie mama. And I say hoochie mama just because she had the nice body and she would dress a certain way and she wore high heels. You know, I was a little girl. I was walking in her heels. I used to go to high school with heels on, and I went back to my high school, Brandi. I don't know how I walked in that high school with heels on.
How?
I don't know how.
I was such a tomboy.
Really?
I was such a tomboy that when me and my friend wore dresses to school, it was like the first time a lot of people had saw us like that. I mean, I wore dresses before because, you know, we had to wear those in church. My grandma didn't play that. So, and she really didn't want us to be rough around the edges and be little dirt balls. You know, little tomboys. She said, you're little dirt balls. She didn't call us that. But she wanted us to be like ladies. You know, sit up straight, have perfect posture, know how to know what every fork is, know how to sit when you go amongst people that have more than you, so you don't stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are being taught that these days, but we most certainly learned that you have to be put together. Like you need to be put together so that you are treated better.
Okay, so I'm glad that you said that. So when you say that a lot of people are not being taught that these days, I know for a fact that they're not being taught that because I've witnessed.
You see it.
And it's crazy because it's not just like the new kids or kids that are our kids' age. I know women that are maybe just a little bit younger than me that don't conduct themselves in that way. And then I see their daughters end up being that way. You know, my mom, she kept mirrors in the house, right? And it wasn't so that we can be conceited. It's so that we could be aware of what we're looking like. So when we talk about stepping into womanhood, where does that where does that lesson start at? Who do you get that lesson from? Now, and you can't always blame the parents, because my mom lost her mom when she was maybe like in the 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 8th grade. You're not even stepping into your womanhood yet. But she
Right, you're
had like
still
a lot of
learning.
sisters. My
Right.
mom's the baby of the family, so she had
Mm-hmm.
older sisters. So I didn't have a grandma to show me anything. I learned
Mm-hmm.
everything from my mom, and it's ironic. My mom was a hairstylist. I'm a hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing, my mama didn't do no braids. She was the Jerry curl queen.
Yeah, yeah.
She would get that Jerry curl, and people. She would go to work, do hair, and people would be at the house when she got
Waiting on
off of
her.
work. Yes, waiting to get their hair done.
Hmm.
But my mom, you better. You don't sit down with your legs open. You're not finna sit on nobody's lap.
That's right.
It's yes ma'am, no ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't allow us to wear makeup as kids, but she did used to let me play in her makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been very girly, very feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom didn't necessarily teach me how to be feminine. That's just was my natural state to be
Right.
that way, but I know like a lot of women, this is to bounce topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw Michelle Obama. She was on maybe somebody's talk show or maybe somebody's podcast. And I made a post about this on Facebook. And she was basically saying how parents shouldn't be their children's friend. Now, when I was little, my mama was not my friend. There was boundaries, there was rules, and there was a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also a lot of love, a lot of affection. My mom is the type of mom, she gonna hug you, she gonna kiss you, she gonna tell you that she love you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she received from her parents, but that's what she gave me. And that's what I love, and I give that to my child,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I see a lot of people, they say, no, I'm not your little friend, or I'm not your friend. And I just don't agree with that part, because I feel like when you are your child's friend, that means that they feel comfortable to talk to you and to come to you. And because there's a level of friendship, you can talk to them and they actually listen and they want to hear what you have to say.
I can
So
understand
how
that.
can you talk to your child and you're always that authority figure? Are you telling them I'm not your friend? Well, you're not my friend. I'm not telling you nothing. Because who do kids go to tell their secrets? Who do kids go to get their advice from? They go to their friends. So if the mom is the friend or if the dad is the friend,
Mm-hmm.
then they're gonna.
Then they still will have a degree of which that they do not know. What I think that friend is a term that's loosely. I would tell my daughter I'm not your friend because
Like, don't play with me.
watch how you talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of respect that you need to have when speaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like there's a level of respect I am to have when I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking to you crazy. You're not going to catch an attitude with me when there is no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that the level of communication, the lines of communication should always be open between mother and daughter. And
See, I don't have a daughter, and I have talked to a lot of
between
little
mother
girls.
and child.
But let's go back to mother and daughter though,
Mm-hmm.
because we stepping into womanhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had some little girls that lived down the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
They confided in me a lot because I was an adult, but I was a younger adult, younger than their parents. Like their parents was probably old enough to be my parents, but they were too young to be my kids,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might have been 13 and I'm like 25,
Okay.
something like that. And they would come and they talk to me. And one little girl, she told me, she was like, my mama be calling us bitches and, this and that. I was shocked because my mama would never, and I hear little girls, and they feel like their parents or their mothers be in competition with them. Like I did this photo shoot with this young lady some years back, and she told me that she was a little thick girl, right? Well, she was a young woman, but her thickness was a nice thick. But as a kid, being thick, she got talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and she said that her mom was her first bully. Her mom just, I guess, ridiculed her a lot about being fat or being chubby, being husky or whatever. And there, for her mom could never be her friend because you're not friends with people that make fun of you. You're not friends with people that make you feel little. So as a parent, sometimes I think that parents don't realize or they don't take into consideration your child has feelings and you are the person that they love the most. So if you're abusing them mentally or you're hurting their feelings, that's kind of like making them think that it's okay for the person that love you to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's exactly what you are That is exactly what you are showing them. You're giving them an instance where they are being mistreated by somebody that's supposed to love and take care of them. On the flip side, that parent may not even have the mind capacity to wrap their brain around my child is an actual person.
Well, a
They
lot of
actually
adults
have
don't act
feelings.
like children have.
And
They tell you you
children
don't
have
have feelings.
feelings, but children have
Have you
feelings.
heard that before? Like,
Yes.
you a kid, you don't have no feelings.
Yeah. You ain't got no wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as a child, I remember hearing that. You
Mhm.
don't have. I remember my mom. I'm gonna tell you this funny story, and I hope my mama watched this. Ruby, are you watching? I must have had
Like that.
I must have had what people thought was a bad attitude. And I don't know how they could ever think that I would have a bad attitude. And I don't know, my twin probably did something to upset me or whatever. And my mom told me, you too young to have an attitude. You don't even know how to spell attitude. And until you know how to spell attitude, you can't cop one. So what you think my smart self did? I learned how to spell attitude. Attitude.
Now I can cop one.
Yeah, I think I probably got a whipping when I told her that I knew how to spell
I know you did.
attitude. But
I know
it's
you
like,
did. Yeah.
I remember my mom telling me that I don't have feelings, and that hurt me because it's like,
But I
you're
do.
silencing me. And what people don't realize, first of all, you got to think about when you was a kid, did you like when your mama told you that? How did it make you feel? And sometimes we make mistakes because we understand, like, okay, well, I didn't like that. But sometimes parents tell you these things because you need to hear it. But we have to be better at how we communicate to these young girls, and how they receive the information. Because one, if you're used to yelling at your daughter, if you're used to calling your daughter out her name, if you're used to putting your daughter down, if you're used to telling your daughter that she is not allowed to have feelings, what's going to happen when she become a woman and she develop her own friendships and her own relationships with people,
And
and you
then
have
man
normalized
and
you don't have to have
somebody,
feelings,
yeah,
you
and
know?
somebody blow up those things that you rooted in her.
Mhm.
Somebody's gonna grow that
Mhm.
because you left it out here to be fertilized by something. You didn't do what was necessary to tend to your garden. So now it's weeds everywhere. But like a lot of that's almost like how often or does a woman really take criticism on being a mama?
That's the hardest thing. Nobody wants to be
No.
told what they're
Nobody want to
doing.
be told that they're doing something wrong.
Mhm.
We don't want to be told that we don't have the answers. We could have possibly hurt more than we have helped.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, you better say it in a tone that don't irritate me
Or
and
offend.
or offend me. And you better use words that I understand because if you use a little bit more, I'm gonna think you playing with me.
Mhm.
It's really like too much. So now you got a daughter over here who can't go talk to her mama about when her cycle started. She go talk to somebody down the street.
Mhm. So do you remember when your cycle started? Like, I'm pretty sure you remember how old you were. If
Mhm.
Okay, let's go back to when you was however old as a child, adolescent, teenager, young lady.
Mhm.
Did your mom talk to you about your cycle before you
No.
received it? Did you know about a cycle before you got it?
No.
So you just got a cycle and
Was treated like I was infected.
really?
Yes, ma'am.
I was not expecting that answer. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I gotta redirect my. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
But when you don't have time to coddle feelings because there's so much other shit going on, you miss the mark on certain things.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You missed the mark on certain things that you should have done. Like I wasn't like, oh, let me give you some information. Let me tell you about what's going on. I bought a book from Walgreens that was about this thick. that talked about the human anatomy.
Mhm.
And I read that book from cover to cover
Mhm.
because it talked about everything about a man, about a woman, about nerves, about what did that, how to do this, how to do that, and that's how I learned.
Wow.
Yes, I didn't know anything about cramps. I didn't know what you're supposed to do with them. I didn't know how long. I didn't know how to do a pad. I got showed that the first day. Boom, quick. Now this is what you do. Okay, because I who got time for feelings?
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
okay, so with that experience, how did you make it different for your daughter with educating her about getting her cycle?
I embarrassed her. I embarrassed my baby. I didn't try to, but she's very modest. She
Mhm.
doesn't like. She don't want you to talk about nothing, and
Mhm.
I would keep on going to her and telling her, hey, you know the door is open for you to come talk to me about these things.
So she was embarrassed because you was just talking about it too much, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that."
That, but it's
Okay.
not like she does. She knows she can talk to me about that.
Mhm.
She can talk to her aunt.
Mhm.
You know, she can talk, but I was like, I don't want my baby to feel like I did, because you don't know how it feels to have something going on with you, and you don't know what's going on, and you think it's something wrong, and you coming from, and you in a space where everything else is wrong.
Right.
You know, and you little, like you don't really. I started my cycle when I was like 11.
Wow.
I didn't even have. I was flat, as flat as this wall. I didn't even know what was going on,
Mm.
and I was in so much pain.
So your school didn't have talks about,
They
like,
did
did
it in
you
the
have
fifth
help?
grade, but I missed the first half of that class.
Mm. Was you skipping school?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I was either sick or, just had to stay home.
Speechless again.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's just crazy because, like I said, I don't have any daughters.
Hmm.
My mom, she actually talked to us about having a cycle. She told us, that you have to have a pad. I do remember her. I remember I was like 13 when I got my cycle, and I already started growing boobs.
Hmm.
Probably like in the eighth grade is when I got a body. I was still skinny, but
Yeah, look.
I got real cute in eighth grade.
Ooh.
But I remember going to high school and starting to play sports, and the coaches, they were saying that we didn't need to wear pads, we had to wear tampons. And my mama was like,
Mm-mm.
"No, you not.
Not at
You
all.
better go put them biker shorts on and put that pad on, you
Hmm.
know." And she didn't talk to us about sex or anything like that. She just told us that you're not supposed to have sex. If you have sex, this is a talk that my mama gave me, and this talk, I want to talk to the world and tell them this talk really worked for me. I
Hmm.
never wanted kids in high school. I never wanted to be a teen pregnancy, all because my mama had this conversation with me. When you get your cycle, you can have a baby. It wasn't no, wearing no tampons. She didn't even teach us nothing about that. You a pad. I had to learn about tampons on my own. But she told me if you have sex with a little boy, he gonna tell you whatever he wanna tell you to get what he want. And when he get what he want, he gonna be gone. You gonna get pregnant, and then he gonna be down the street, and he gonna get your friend pregnant, and then you gonna be stuck at home watching your baby while all your friends at the football game, and you gonna be at home looking stupid trying to catch the metro to get somewhere because I ain't taking you nowhere. And you better be lucky if I let you bring the little baby home from the hospital. He might have to go to his daddy house. Those were her words, and I remember them. No words is in my head. I never.
Baby, she put you on the bus.
She put me on. First of all,
She put your baby daddy with your friend. Put you on the bus with your baby.
why? First of all, why my baby daddy had to have me on the bus, and then
Yeah.
he at the
She
game with
giving
my
you
friend.
worst case scenario is
Yes.
that you gonna have to put your baby on the bus.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I wasn't even riding the bus. My boyfriend had a car
Yeah.
in high school. You
So
know what
she
I'm
knew
saying?
she had to make it stick.
And it stuck. And it stuck. Like
Yeah.
I was very responsible.
Hmm.
But because she had those conversations with me, that's why I was able to be responsible.
Hmm.
Like I had friends that had been pregnant their freshman year. I had a friend in school that had already had a baby our freshman year. But she thought that she couldn't get pregnant if she had sex on her cycle. And she had sex one time and it was on her cycle and she got pregnant. But if her mom had educated her and not left it to the school to give her to have these conversations with her, then she could have prevented her daughter from having sex. You can't just tell your kids don't have sex because it's a sin. Yes, it's true. You're not supposed to have sex without marriage because it is a sin. But at the end of the day, it's more to it than that. I have a son.
Yeah.
I taught my son, like I was very dramatic with teaching him about sex. I showed him the blue waffle. And I told him, like a baby is not the worst thing that can happen when you have sex. You can get, a STD. And this is what you can, yeah, I don't know if it terrified him or not, but
It would have terrified me.
I don't even know if that disease is real. I really don't know. But I knew that when I saw that, it was enough to make me not want to do anything. So I just let him know, like, the importance, like you need to wear a condom, like I did tell him, like, you're supposed to be with somebody that you care about. You're supposed to get married, blah, 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 blah. Of course, kids don't listen to you.
Of course.
But he knew about it. One thing, since we were talking about cycles, I remember my mom, those things are private and they're personal. Back in the day, a lot of things is private. Now everything is just out in the open.
Yes.
There's like not really a lot of privacy when it comes to a lot of things. So my son, because I'm a mom, I remember one day telling him to go in the bathroom to, give me a sanitary napkin or whatever. And he asked me about it and I told him what it was used for. And then I remember one day he came to me, he was like, why do girls act so embarrassed about having, a cycle or wearing pads? Like, don't all of y'all wear it? And when he said that to me, I'm like, why are we embarrassed? Like, you in the bathroom and you trying to open the wrapper all quiet. You don't want nobody to hear and know that you on your period. Like, dang it, why these things so loud? You go to the last stall in the bathroom.
And you broke it up.
Yeah, it's like you got to put it in the toilet paper because you don't want nobody to see it. And it's like when he said, I'm like, how is it that this little kid had this much sense to be like, but y'all all get it. Like, why is it such a secret? Why are y'all so embarrassed by it? Why is that?
That's a very good question. I don't think that it's us that was scared of it or embarrassed. I think that it was the other way around, and it got shunned, and oh my God, and it got put as to a degree like that. Because even in the Bible say when a woman is bleeding, she's unclean. So you know how long of a rabbit trail you can go down by saying blah 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 blah. So maybe it wasn't us that was so secretive about it. It just how we have developed into being. Because we don't want to hear all that. Nobody has time for you to be dry heaving in the corner. or you acting like you about to pass out because I asked you to go buy me some liners at the store. Like, they know that it's not for you.
I saw this video the other day. The lady, she told her husband, boyfriend, or whatever, she was like, can you go get me some pads and some wings? He came back with the always pads and a box of wings, and she was laughing at him, and he was like, so what? You didn't want the wings?
Always with wings?
She wanted pads with wings. He got her always, though, and he did get the ones with the wings, but he bought her wings, and it didn't register in his mind that she wasn't asking for chicken wings.
She was asking for pads with wings.
Yeah. Oh. So I think it's easier too if parents teach their sons, because it makes it more comfortable. Like when you in a relationship with somebody as a woman or as a young girl, you don't feel so insecure or scared to, if this is your boyfriend, he's supposed to be your best friend, right? And you're supposed to be able to let him know, like, I got cramps, and not feel embarrassed. And as a boy, when your mom or dad is raising you, hey, be sympathetic to your girlfriend. She's going to be emotional. She's going to be feeling not good. She's going to maybe be nauseated or just not in the mood or cranky. Don't get offended by that. Just understand that this is something that women go through once a month. Like my son, his daddy would tell him about once a month or whatever, but he would exaggerate, like, yeah, she gonna be cranky, da da da. Well, that's good. Tell him that. That way that he won't be walking with his feelings on his shoulder if the girl is not as nice, But boys need to know just as much about it. Exactly.
And how that affects your everyday relationship, because before, like a woman's cycle, you smell different. You irritating. Like why you can't do it yourself? Like now I've had it up to here, but it's only gonna be for 72 hours.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, and then I'll be right back to being okay. But if he never knows that, or
I think a lot of grown men don't know that. That's why you have so many men saying that women are crazy. No, women are not crazy. They're just going through premenstrual, what is it, PMS, premenstrual syndromes.
Yeah. Or women not crazy.
But men think we are.
But men are different from women. Like I can't understand a man. I can be empathetic with a man, but I can understand his logic to a degree, but I can't understand on a man's level because I'm a woman.
Exactly.
I'm different. I'm in the gray area. Like, he's more black and white. Hey, I'm more what if and what about?
Yeah.
And what about that? You know, all of these different little situations. So that's where there's a difference. But we're not crazy.
No. But they also say crazy people don't know that they're crazy.
We're not.
So let me ask you this. Being a mom, you grew up with 2 generations before you. You had your grandmother, you had your mother, now yourself and your daughter. What can you say that you took from what your grandma had to teach you and what your mom had to teach you that you felt like was important to pass on to your daughter so that she could be better prepared in life than what you were prepared when you were growing up?
To ask God for discernment and to lean on your intuition. I asked for discernment when I was like 11, and I got it, but I didn't know what it was, right? And because I've had discernment, I've been able to read certain situations, certain people, and even if I happen to get into something, I can wiggle my way out because I'm seeing a way, you know, like, so for my daughter, I would want her to be mindful of her own power.
How does she recognize her power? Have you taught her, like, to know her strengths and her weaknesses? Okay.
I allow my children to make decisions for themselves to a degree. I will ask them critical thinking questions. How do you feel about that? What do you think the next step would be based on your understanding? You know, even if I'm upset or I don't agree, you know, I still want them to think critically about things, and just to give them a little bit of I didn't have peace. So when you have a peace of mind, you can think straight, your creativity can flow, you can really be who you are. So I think I took the fact that I didn't have certain things, and I made sure to open those gates for my daughter no matter what was around, you know. So she can come talk to me, she can tell me how she feels, she can say no, she can say, Mama, I don't feel like it.
What about if she asks you, like, you say, I don't want you to go outside, and if she say why, do you say because I said so, or do you explain why I don't want you to go outside?
I'm not picky with my child, so I don't push my authority on her. You know what it is. So if I said don't go outside and you ask me why, I don't give an answer for why. Because in that moment, this is not a discussion. Because if I give you an answer, I'm discussing it with you. You have no choice. So do not go outside. If you ask me why, you won't get an answer.
So let me ask you this question. You not telling her why. Let's just say you don't want to go outside because it's dangerous outside. You can get kidnapped outside. Somebody can snatch you. Somebody can kill you. You can fall down the stairs.
And
why
and
is that not important to tell her that?
That is important to tell her that. And she's 14, so we know that we've had these conversations before.
Not at 14. You, of course, if you say it at 14, but
if she's always why to me, why, and I give her the answer that she needs, right? The only time she doesn't get the answer that she's requesting is when she asks me why she don't need to. If I say don't go outside, you need to trust me as in my position to state, okay, well, Mom said it's not safe to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being an ass because I don't do that with my children. Now, if you get mad at your child and you say, well, give me the keys to my car, you can't go nowhere for a week because the child didn't take the trash out. That's you pushing your authority on them, so of course you're going to get pushback, but I don't do my kids like that.
The reason why I mentioned that is because it was a situation with my son when he was a little bit younger. He might have been in middle school, I don't know, but it just made me rethink a lot of things that I hadn't considered. And I've always had an open, forum with him with discussions or whatever. And I would tell him, hey, I don't want you to do this. I'm not going to say the situation because I don't want to put people's business out there. So I would just tell him, hey, I don't want you to do this, or I don't want you to take this over there, right? But I never would say why. He never even asked me probably in detail like why, because it was always like, okay, well, you just said, because you said so. So one day he asked me, well, can I do this? What I've been telling him that he couldn't do, right? And I'm like, I really didn't want to, but at this point, I'm going to be gone for a while, so let me go and let you take it over there or whatever. Well, the reason, you know what, let me just go back. I'll give a specific because this is another one, right? So I bought him some Beats headphones. That's when they first came out. It was like $350 when you add the insurance to it. Do not wear these headphones to school. I know that if you wear these headphones to school, somebody gonna steal them from you. You're gonna put them down. You're gonna lose them. Somebody might try to hurt you for them because other people gonna want stuff, right? So me not telling you, you just be like, well, my mama being mean, I want to wear my headphones to school. So you be sneaky and you wear your headphones to school. Now somebody that's older than you in high school, they see you, they run up behind you, they snatch your headphones. Now your headphones are gone. So sometimes as a parent, you don't just say, well, don't do this because I said so. Sometimes you need to explain, like, don't do this because it's thirsty people out here. It's people that's hungry out here. It's people that will kill you for these things. Sometimes it's important.
But every time, it's not a time for a discussion.
Not every time.
Because if I spend 15 minutes giving you all this data and you still go out, first of all, I bought something that was $350. I can tell you to leave it at home. And you can ask me why, and I can tell you because I said so. I purchased it. They're really mine. I'm letting you borrow them, and you can only borrow them in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. But all that other stuff, sometimes we don't need to be our children's friend because then they going to feel like I can be disrespectful. I can move like talking about.
I agree. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Time is running out. Before I let you go, I want to ask you, if you can go back in your past, your younger self, what would you tell your younger self?
Pay attention, write it down, and know that it's going to be all right.
There you have it. I really enjoyed you.
I did too.
You should come back.
Too. I will.
All right. Y'all want to see Miss Brandi back?
Yes.
All right. She'll be back. Thank y'all for laying it on the line.
Lay it on the line, talk through our problems. Let's try resolving them. Should we even try? Meet me halfway, and I'll give you time. Lay it on the line, show me your heart, and I'll show you mine. If we want this, if we need this, then let's lay it on the line. Settle down, let's try to talk it out. Let's figure out what all the fuss about. You had your turn, now it's mine. I never heard time and time, yeah. So many thoughts in my head, so many words left unsaid. Baby, I know we'll try.